My name is Michael Waddington, and I'm a court-martial defense attorney. In this video, I want to talk to you about a case I recently did at Fort Gordon, Georgia. And in that case, my client was an E4, United States Army, charged with multiple counts of rape and sexual abuse, as well as physical abuse on his wife, as well as physical abuse, assault and battery on another man. And I got hired on this case at really the last minute. The Article 32 was completed. It was post-referral. All the motions were already done. So everything was kind of set, including the witness lists. So when I took on the case, I immediately started looking for the weaknesses in the prosecution's case. Now, the victim was my client's wife. They're now divorced. And here's really how the case started. My client and his wife were estranged. They were still living in the same house. She was out partying every night. He was taking care of their 1-year-old and 3-year-old while she's out drinking and partying. He just thinks she's out with one of her friends. But in June of 2017, he came home and he found someone in his bedroom with his wife. This is another man, and when he went into the bedroom, his wife started smacking him, hitting him, attacking him, scratching him, punching him in the testicles. And the man in the bed then comes at him and attacks him. So there's 2-on-1. And our client defended himself, kicked the guy in the chest, got him off of him and threw him out of the house. He then called the police. The police come in and they take his wife and the guy that was in the bed. So his wife goes to the station and she says, well, my husband's an abuser. He's been raping and beating me for 6 months and I have all the evidence. They don't take the evidence right there. They tell her, bring me whatever evidence you have. She then gives him these photographs that show all these bruises, cuts, scrapes, marks, and so forth. And then she also gives him these recordings and a bunch of text messages. CID is so incompetent and so lazy that they didn't even bother to dig through the rest of her text messages and recover them and be able to piece together the whole story. They didn't even date the photographs. So here's what ended up happening. They put this woman on the stand and she's very well coached. They spent days coaching her lawyer and the 3 prosecutors, including the special victim counsel they brought in from Fort Stewart to help her get her story sounding good. And so she testified and people in the audience during the break were like, we're telling you, wow, this woman's credible. You know, she's so articulate. She's really believable. And I said, hold on a second now. I haven't asked her a single question yet. So on cross-examination, their case started to fall apart. She couldn't keep her coaching in line. So she started fighting back over very petty things and bickering with me and getting very aggressive, very sarcastic. And every time she would get boxed in on a lie, she would come back at me with a question for me, and I would just ignore and keep hammering away and make her answer the questions. After 2 hours, it took her 2 hours to answer my questions because she kept fighting with me. Her credibility was in tatters. Then the government went on and called a whole line of dirtbags, frankly. I mean, one of the men, the guy that got beat up at my client's house, showed up in court late, looked like he was hungover after a night of bar crawling, came into court with like a sweatshirt on and got up there and was talking about how my client, attacked him while in his bed. And I'm like, you in your bed? That was actually his bedroom, his bed, his wife with his kids sleeping next door. So just so we're clear here, it wasn't your bed, buddy. And so this guy got destroyed. And then they called in some of her friends who were just a bunch of really scumbags and liars who fell apart. I mean, some of them she had told them what they need to say and what they need to testify to. So we saved the best for last. Our client actually testified in that case, very articulate. His statement was the same as it was when he talked to CID the first time. And then they called CID in, the CID investigator, who instead of playing his 2.5-hour recorded statement that he gave without a lawyer from the very beginning, they then cherry-picked and paraphrased what he said. So I had a good time impeaching the CID agent who did a terrible job and was clearly biased as she paraphrased what my client said instead of just playing the video. And you may be wondering, why didn't I play my client's video? It's because under the law, I'm not allowed to play things that my clients say. It's considered hearsay. Only the government is allowed to offer statements made by the accused. Remember, anything you say can and will be used against you. It's not anything you say can be used to help you. So the government chose to not play that recording and we hammered them on that. And then in my closing, what I did, I had all the photographs, I had these alleged recorded confessions, and they were fake. I had been saying that from the beginning that these are fake. This is fake evidence. This is fabricated. It's false. It's taken out of context, and some of it's outright concocted. But what I did in the PowerPoint presentation I did is I put up the photos that she supposedly took over a period of time, over a period of 6 months, side by side. So I had like the January photo next to the June photo, and you could see in the background, it was taken the same day at the same place. For example, she said on that one occasion in January, she ran away from my client after he threw her in a wall and beat her up really badly, went to her friend's barracks room and took this photo. She then showed another photo and said, oh, that was after he beat me up on another occasion in May. And in that occasion, I took it in my living room. And so the photos were taken at the same place, same time, and you could see the carpet in the background. It was the same. There was a playpen in the background. You could see the bruises were the same. And it was the same for all the photos. All the photos were taken on the same day. They were taken after he caught her in bed, when CID, instead of doing their job, sent her back to gather the evidence they needed. And they never verified the dates and times. And so we did that with all the photos, put them side by side. She had a big cut in one of the photos, and she claimed that my client beat her up. She ran off to a friend's house and took that photo. The cut was caused by something, I don't know what, but it was not a fresh cut. It was several days old. It was scabbed over. It was almost healed. So I told the jury in closing, like, what is she, like a superhero? Her skin heals at 5 times the normal rate. These are fake. And so I saved the best for last, because the recordings, the 4 recordings that she said she recorded of him secretly, she would record him secretly, and then she gave those to CID. Well, we played the recordings and showed the video of the recordings playing, because it was a block of videos she gave to CID and said, yeah, these are all of his confessions. And they were dubbed together. It was obvious they were dubbed together. Some of the dubbing was so bad that you could hear the clicking and restarting. You could hear a child crying in the background in one part, and then it would abruptly cut off, and then another statement would be made, and you would hear the child crying again. And so the prosecution argued, oh, what is she, some computer genius that she could fabricate this evidence? So I argued, no, she's not a computer genius. She's a complete moron who did a half-hearted job of stringing together these recordings so bad that it's patently obvious to anyone that looked at it that it's fake. So I gave that back to the jury, and then the prosecution was basically stuck when they had to get up and give the rebuttal. They started fishing around through CDs, and the documents fell over, some of it onto the floor, as they scrambled to try to recover from this. I have no idea how these 3 prosecutors and the victim's lawyer and the CID agents did not realize that the photos were taken on the same day. I assume they didn't. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But that's utter incompetency. And so they basically put forward fake evidence to try to convict a man of a crime he didn't commit. Jury deliberated for a couple hours, came back on all charges. There was a total of 8 charges, not guilty of everything. My client's flag was lifted. He went back to the unit, and hopefully he's getting promoted to E5 soon. And now she's dating a Richmond County sheriff's deputy. And she actually brought this clown to the court-martial, who was like 20 years older than her, the sheriff's deputy, who happened to be, by the way, married. So she destroyed that man's marriage, and then she brings him to the court-martial to watch her testimony and watch my closing statements. So that guy's next in line. I wish him the best of luck, but buyer beware. I laid out all of her lies and deception in the closing in live open court. So when his turn comes, when she accuses him of something, he can't say, I wasn't warned.